Meet Prometheus, the Ukrainian air defense robot that's already shot down a Russian helicopter. When I served in the US Army, the job title for a person who operates a man-portable air defense system, like the Stinger missile, is called an air and missile defense crew member. The US Marines call this person a low-altitude air defense, or LAD gunner, I think. These roles naturally require human bodies to fill them. But what if your country was short on manpower? What's more, what if you had the ingenuity to field a dozen MANPADS wielding robots controlled by a single soldier? Well, if that were the case, you could close off entire sectors of airspace while keeping all the soft, squishy humans safely in the rear, presumably with the gear. Hey friends, Wes here, and Ukrainian ingenuity has been on a 3-year bender. In fact, I've made a career out of marveling at Ukrainian battlefield improvisation. First, it turned cheap quadcopters into tank killers. Then it built naval drones that turned the Black Sea Fleet into an involuntary scuba club. Now it's created an uncrewed ground robot with a MANPADS bolted to it, specifically an Igla. Prometheus is a boxy little robot with wheels, nerves of steel, and a Soviet-era Igla, the Russian version of the Stinger, strapped to its spine, like a cyberpunk porcupine. It's ugly, it's practical, and it's deeply Ukrainian. And like everything else Kyiv builds under fire, it exists because Russia has forced every brigade within artillery range to reinvent the fundamentals of survival. The fact that Ukraine is the one fueling it says everything you need to know about which side is improvising and which side is recycling 1980s glide bombs like it's running an Air Force garage sale. The 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade, already famous for turning Russian armor into abstract art installations, rolled out Prometheus on their social channels last week with the kind of proud grin you only get after building something that keeps your guys alive. In practice, it's a radical shift in how air defense works. Most air defense systems are tall, they're loud, they're hot, and they're obvious. Even MANPADS teams have a rough life. You're crouched in a bush with a tube on your shoulder, hoping the helicopter or loitering drone doesn't see you before you see it. Now, replace the human with a robot, tuck the operator under cover, and suddenly Russia's munitions aren't hunting soldiers, they're chasing ground Roombas with missiles attached. Russia hates this. Well, Russia hates a lot of things, but it really hates losing helicopters to remote-controlled Mario Karts. Prometheus has already shot one down. That's the difference between a prototype and a weapon system's confirmed impact. Ukraine didn't choose this battlefield. Russia did with Shaheds and loitering munitions, helicopters skimming treetops near the front, and jet crews staying just far enough across the line to lob munitions without entering Ukrainian air defense networks. It's annoying, it's deadly, and it's predictable. Ukrainian air defense soldiers were being hunted by Russian drones and EW teams. Every time a MANPADS operator poked his head up, a Lancet appeared. The only solution was to separate the human from the location of the firing event. If your job gets you killed the moment you stand, make the machine do the standing. Prometheus is the first step toward robotic air defense screens that can move with frontline infantry and doesn't bleed when a Russian drone finds them. But let's keep expectations grounded. This isn't a Terminator. Prometheus is closer to a remote firing station with wheels. The genius is not the vehicle, but the concept. Relocating air defense capability away from human bodies. The robot drives forward. The operator stays alive. The missile does its thing, and Russian pilots get a new reason to check their insurance policies. The brilliance of the platform is the cost. Ukraine can make these locally using parts it can source locally. You don't need a defense mega project signed in triplicate here. You need a welder, an Igla, and a commander who values his soldiers more than his equipment. Ukraine's brigades are building these internally. No outside vendor, no R&D cycle, no consultant with a PowerPoint. Real army, real war. Immediate need. It's disruptive in the same way that FPV drones were disruptive. The battlefield didn't ask for permission before changing the rules, and the timing couldn't be better. The war has reached a level of drone saturation that would make even DARPA uncomfortable. Every position is watched, every tree line hides eyes, every movement radiates a signature, and every drunk Russian unit with a halfway functionally EW suite is trying to map Ukrainian operator behavior. If you're a soldier with a MANPADS, your life expectancy depends on whether the drone above you ran out of battery before its operator ran out of patience. Now, imagine replacing that soldier with a robot. Prometheus doesn't care about fatigue, doesn't care about signatures, doesn't care about being targeted by a kamikaze drone. Prometheus doesn't give a It also doesn't flinch when a Ka-52 fires rockets into the line, doesn't lose morale, and it doesn't need to rotate home for R&R. This is what robotics should look like in a war. Not silver robots doing push-ups on parade grounds, but simple machines built to remove humans from predictable kill zones. The Russians, for their part, continue sending actual human beings into the same zones, which is why casualty counters on Telegram look like someone dropped an abacus down a stairwell. Okay, Prometheus is part of a bigger pattern. For the first time in history, Ukraine is quietly creating a robotic combined arms ecosystem. UGVs haul ammo, UGVs drag the wounded out of impact zones, UGVs lay wire, they scout trenches, they deliver explosives, and now they shoot down helicopters. This is why the elite Rubicon UAV unit in Russia was created, to hunt Ukrainian operators and suppress the command nodes that enable this ecosystem. Prometheus answers Rubicon the same way naval drones answered the Black Sea Fleet, with something cheaper, something more flexible, and far easier to replace than a human body. If Ukraine produces Prometheus at scale, several things happen. Russian helicopters and loitering munitions lose their sanctuary. Low-altitude flight becomes a gamble, not a tactic. Ka-52 crews are already jittery from attrition. Losing more aircraft to robotic launchers will force Russia to fly higher, farther, and less often. Also, Shaheds become less effective over time, and Russian Lancets get thinned out before striking something alive. Russia's drone campaign depends on predictability. Prometheus removes predictability, and that alone makes it valuable. Ukrainians don't pick names lightly. Prometheus wasn't a god of war. He was a thief of fire, a rebel who stole power from the tyrant and gave it to mortals. That should ring a bell. Russia's idea of air power is an ancient hierarchy. Big jets, big bombs, big state. Ukraine's idea of air power is a laptop, a radio link, and a robot with a missile welded to its back. One side worships size, the other worships ingenuity. Prometheus fits in the second category perfectly. It is a single platform, but it represents the beginning of a shift. Ukraine's future battlefield will likely include roaming UGVs with Stinger-class weapons, AI-guided auto-tracking, thermal camouflage nets, mast-mounted sensors, and the ability to operate semi-independently when comms are jammed. Imagine dozens of them guarding every tree line, every trench system, and every logistics road. Imagine a front where the first thing a Russian helicopter sees is a missile streaking from a robot it didn't detect. Ukraine is building it right now with spare parts and necessity as the driving force. Robotic air defense is coming whether anyone likes it or not. Prometheus is simply one of the first ones to go public. Now, Prometheus won't win the war on its own, but it makes sure Ukraine's defenders live long enough to keep fighting. And that, in the end, is what every battlefield innovation exists to do. Fire, my friends, has been stolen again, and this time it's riding on wheels. That's it for today, my friends. Subscribing is the best free way to ensure you don't miss future videos, and it helps me push back on Russian disinformation. And as always, glory to Ukraine, glory to the heroes. Crimea is Ukraine.